Hello, if you've just joined me, I'm having a look at the updates to Bodenplatte and Tank Crew. This tank has some extra armour plates bolted onto the side of the turret and the side of the chassis. Looks to be about a centimetre thick. I don't think it'd stop anything anti-tank wise or high explosive wise, but I think it'd break up the kinetic energy quite significantly, so that if there was a shot that you weren't going to survive, once you've got those external armour plates added, you probably would survive it. Tank warfare, very brutal, nasty business. Especially once the shape charge had been implemented in things like bazookas and panzerfausts, and the British bazooka, the Piat. Shape charge basically renders a tank useless, a bit like fairy swordfish with a torpedo rendered a giant battleship useless. But still, we still use battleships and we still use tanks. So they must have some value. That's the thing, in an environment where a tank has superiority, like nothing can touch it, like a tank versus infantry is largely going to have the advantage. But then if the infantry has anti-tank shape charge rockets, then the tank is a sitting duck unless it has infantry to support it. It's kind of a symbiotic thing. I think the tank supports its infantry and its infantry support it. Got to be honest with you, I don't know all the naming conventions for the German tanks. They're Panzer IIIF in Roman numerals, 4, 5, 6, that kind of thing. In a minute I'm going to switch over. So basically we've got a German tank, we've got a Lend-Lease Sherman on the Rusky side, and you're looking at the German tank there. We've got a FW190D-9 Dora, which I'll have a look at. And what else have we got? And we've got a Fokker D7 F with the more powerful exposed nacelle BMW engine, so I'll have a look at that as well. In addition to all of that, we've also got a new map, a new terrain map, which is the Focke-Wulf map, which is supposedly more interactive. Like that, they showed some footage of tanks running over outhouses and buildings and knocking them down and that sort of thing. Right, Dunkel Gelb. Gelb means gold. Don't know what Dunkel means. Vienna. Vienna has that 8 and the trident on the side of it. See, that's your white paint, most of it's come off. I get the feeling these tanks were transferred directly from desert service right into the snow. And there's your default camo. Alright, let's switch over now to the FW190D-9 Dora. It doesn't have any Mark 108 30mm autocannons at all, not even as an option. But its armament's pretty good. It's got two 20mm MG151 cannons in the wing roots, you can see them there, and then above the engine nacelle you've got 50 caliber machine guns. In essence, two of them. They're actually bigger than 50 cal. They're 13mm, whereas 50 cal is 12.7mm. Those ones are MG131 13mm. So in essence, you've got two 20mm cannons and you've got two 50 caliber heavy machine guns. You also got, so this is the armament, you got 4 70 kilogram bombs, one 250 kilo, one 500 kilogram bomb, two, I believe it's two 21 centimeter rockets, and this is an interesting one, 26 R4M rockets. The R4M rockets are kind of anti-bomber rockets on impact, but they do explode default by themselves as well. You can't set them to explode, like to detonate. They just detonate of their own accord once they've hit a certain time duration or what have you. Gyro gun sight. I had a quick look at the gyro gun sight. It's way different to the gyro gun sight on the British and the American aircraft that we've got so far, which is the Spitfire Mark 9 and the P-47D Thunderbolt. They both seem to have the same gyro gun sight, whereas this one, the German one, is completely different. And this is, I don't know why I'm excited about this, but I am. Bubble canopy. Oh, I know why. When I was a kid, I had a model of this exact plane, the FW190D-9 Dora, Focke-Wulf, and it had the bubble canopy, and in fact it had a paint scheme which I'm going to look for and see if they've got it here. It said Christelle in red writing, kind of gothic script. It was written Christelle along the side of it. I wonder if they've got the paint scheme here. So what should I choose? I'm going to go for the bubble canopy. Going to go for the gyro gun sight. Definitely going to go for the R4Ms. I've already seen the 21 centimeter rocket when they released the Messerschmitt Bf 109 G6 or G14, and that'll pretty much do us, I think. And now I'm just going to have a quick look at paint schemes, and I'm going to reduce the fuel a bit, and then I'm going to go for a fly. DCS, of course, has this exact same plane, and they have it in this exact same paint scheme. So it might be interesting to compare apples with apples and get that. It's the one with the red underbelly, and that is a defense of the Reich. No, home defense colour scheme. Basically, they'd paint the underside of their aircraft red to avoid their local anti-aircraft guns shooting them down by mistake. Home defense. Which was a kind of a late war paint scheme. Alright, we'll have a quick look at each one of these. Here's Hagen. It's got a cat on it. It's got some kind of stripes on the back, which look a bit like home defense. Interestingly, you can see right through the fuselage of the D9. That's like I don't know what that is. I'm assuming it's like an arrestor hook for lifting up the tail when you're going to maneuver the vehicle on the ground. You can see the R4M rockets there. Geez, how many we got? Like 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Did I count that right? I'm going to say there's 24 rockets. Wowee. And of course you got the bubble canopy there, which is kind of extended a bit. Right, let's have a look at the next scheme. That was Hagen. Now look at JG2. I should read this. So Hagen was Farnrich Hagen Foster, April 1945. This one's JG2. JG2 Stolberg Haas, Germany, May 1945. The war ended basically in May 1945. So this is a plane from the very end of the war. Pretty hardcore looking plane, I've got to say. Very long nose. They call this one the Langnese, which just means long nose. And look at that, you can see... What can you see there? I don't know. It's all very exotic. Let's go to the next paint scheme. White 11. White 11 for JG51, Flensburg, Germany, May 1945. So this is a really late war aircraft. Everything's April, May 1945, which for Germany, that's when the war ended. Japan continued on a little bit more beyond May. I don't know when. Maybe up to August or something at the most. What have we got? We've got that funny scribble there, and we got the 11. Looks like the nacelle's been replaced. with one that's painted a different colour, like a spare part. No doubt the original was shot off, had bullet holes through it, and had to replace it. These things happen at the very end of a world war. You sort of hobble together different parts of different aircraft. All right, let's go to JG4. STAB stands for something. JG4 Frankfurt, Germany, late March 1945. It's got the knight there with the feather plume. It's got a 1 and a thingamajig there. I hope you appreciate my highly technical terminology. And it's got this really long engine. I think this is the same engine they use in a Ju-88. It's an inline engine, so it's water cooled, it's inline. It might look like it's a radial because the radiator is a circle, but it's actually an inline 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. I think it probably has six plus cylinders, and it's an inline engine. Alright, I think it's a DB605 or something. It's a very huge, heavy, powerful engine. Prenzlau, March 1945. This one's called Blue 2. Alright, so it's got a 2 on it that's blue. Yeah, fairly self-explanatory. Alright, and look at the propeller. These propellers, believe it or not, were, to the best of my knowledge, were made of wood. Not made of metal or anything, made of wood. They do seem to have a metal strip on the leading edge, which I reckon would be aluminium, possibly steel, just to protect against stone chips and things like that. But these big fan-like propellers, which each blade must be approaching 2 meters in radius, like each one from the very center line axis must be about 2 meters long. A huge propeller. They're all made of wood. Alright, so that's Blue 2. Dortzenmann. I've seen this one in DCS, this colour scheme. So it's got that quick recognition yellow on the tail and on the front there, a bit like the Battle of Britain BF 109s. They had that kind of yellow colour scheme for quick recognition. Yellow 13. Oh, by the way, the Dortmund says Oberlast Hans Dortnemann, February 19th, March 29th, 1945. End of March, don't think March, April. Okay, so very close to April. Yellow 13. This one's very kind of subtle camo. Reminds me of the skin of a boa constrictor. Alright, so that's Yellow 13. What does it say? Obergrafreiter Dieter Kraglow, JG26, Westmunster, January 45. Wow, this is all kind of cool stuff, isn't it? So here's what do we got here? IKEA, IEKJG, Pilsen, Czechoslovakia, May 1945. Pilsen, I reckon that's where Pilsner comes from, the beer. Pretty good beer there. So this one was in Pilsen, Czechoslovakia, May 1945. Here, Afholen. I guess that means here lift or something. I don't know. So it's got that quick recognition yellow stripe. It's got the red squiggle and a red 18, and it says 17 there for some reason. All these things mean something, but I don't know what. Faber. I think Faber means colour. I think it's a surname. Oberst Klaus Faber, Einring, Germany, May 1945. This one's got the red home defence colour scheme on the underside. Much earlier in the war, there was a general in charge of home defence. I honestly can't remember his name off the top of my head, but it's a sad story. What happened is, for some reason, there was a miscommunication, and all of the anti-aircraft guns in Berlin City, sitting on top of their gigantic flak towers and everything, opened fire on 500 or 600 Messerschmitt Bf 109s that were flying over the city looking for bombers to intercept, and ended up shooting down quite a few of them. There was a miscommunication. It was a blue on blue, and that general that was in charge of the home defence ended up shooting himself over that incident. So in response to things like that, they painted the underside of their home defence aircraft with quick recognition colours to try and avoid those kind of blue on blue incidents. That's the origin of this red colour on an otherwise exquisitely camouflaged aircraft. So that was Faber. Sachsenberg. Lieutenant Heinz Heino Sachsenberg. Platzschutzschwarm JV44. München Rhein, Germany, March 45. I appreciate I totally butchered that. But I gave it a shot, right? That's the important thing. Yeah, and when I was a kid, I had a model of a Dora, and it had this kind of font on it that said Christel. So there you go. And it had this kind of canopy as well. Alright, in a minute we're going to take this beast for a fly. It does have automatic radiator that keeps on trying to open up the cowl flaps, so I don't know if I'm going to bother mucking around with that. No one, oh yes, someone's commented in the chat. JG, hey Frog. I do know Budweiser was a rip-off of a Czech beer called Budvar. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking when I was thinking that. And in fact, I've been to the Czech Republic, and I've like gone through this whole thing for academic purposes whilst sampling Budvar beverage. Good times. Alright, I just got to decide which skin I'm going to go for. If anyone has a skin suggestion, there's 10 people in the chat. Let me know what skin you want to see. Otherwise, I'm going to choose one. Probably not the default. I'm going to choose the home defence, Sachsenberg or Faber. I'll choose Faber. Or Sachsenberg. Yeah, I'll go Faber. And I've got the R4M rockets. Let's do this. Used to drink them, and the bottles are huge. I tell you what, when I went to Czech Republic just before the GFC, when was that, like 2007, you could get beer there for like, I don't know, like crazy, like good beer from 400-year-old breweries for like 60 cents or something ridiculous, and it was good stuff too.
Drossel, Starterlaubnis erteilt. Drossel, wir starten.
Alright, so have a look at that info panel on the bottom left. You've got MG131s, that's 50 caliber basically, it's 13mm. It's 950 rounds of that, and then you've got 500 rounds of 20mm cannon, the MG15120, and you've got 26 R4M rockets. And I have some colleagues here. This is an exciting plane, I gotta say. So it's the same one. It's the same one from DCS. That there in the gun sight. That's a gyro gun sight. Kind of a subtle looking gyro gun sight. You've got boost. I'm looking at the boost panel, like the boost instrument panel, just there. So you activate that by pressing left, shift, and B. Let's take off. Probably going to be a little bit hard to hear me over the engine, although I did turn my microphone up a couple of days ago, so hopefully that improves things. Yeah, no, beer in Europe in general is really good. Right, that's full power. I might just cut down on the power. Slightly less noisy. So we're flying over the Focke-Wulf map. This is actually a tank map, and the ground should look different. The ground should look different because we're in a tank map. And it should have a lot more detail on the ground in comparison to the normal maps that we're all familiar with. There's more effort put into the towns, I think. And I get the feeling they haven't finished off the Focke-Wulf map. This is just the very release of it. Because earlier today I was trying to destroy a structure with a Sherman tank, and I couldn't destroy it. So I think in the future they're going to make the map more destructible, more interactive, if I can put it that way. The Butcher sounds beautiful. Yeah, I agree. They've got a good sound to it. Now I'm going to go full power and I'm going to go full boost so you can listen and see what that's like. That's full power, now full boost. Some writing on the instrument panel, something or other over 200 kilometers an hour, something or other under 295 kilometers an hour. I think it's to do with don't lower the flaps unless you're under 295, and probably the same thing for the canopy under 200 perhaps. think they're doing the flap in stages. Sometimes you have to press and hold F, and it goes down in percentage, down to 100%. That one I pressed it once, and it looked to have gone to 5%, which must be takeoff flap. I pressed it again, and it's gone to what looks like about 30%, which would be your landing flaps. So here we are at a low speed, doing about 180 kilometers an hour on the stall basically. Distinguished large cigar. Yeah, some of the pilots did actually smoke a cigar. I think they even had a cigar ashtray installed in the cockpit. True story. Let's do a little bit of low flying and I'll try and find something to blow up with the rockets. Heck, I'll just... is there a bridge there? Terrain seems a little bit buggy, but that's to be expected with the release of a totally new technology map like this one. And overall, for a first release of a brand new map, it's looking pretty bloody good. Alright, there's that bridge. I'm going to hit it with everything I've got. Okay, completely missed. Oh well. Be surprised, a lot of the good ideas that you and me have, the old timers already had the same ideas and actually implemented them. For example, the general of the Luftwaffe fighters, Galland had an ashtray installed in his Bf-109 during the Battle of Britain. And Galland used to take his cigars along and smoke cigars in the cockpit of his Bf-109 while he was flying off to battle. So much so that he had the ashtray installed on the instrument panel. True story. a pretty hot aeroplane. I'll try and land her now. And then we'll go on to something else, probably the Sherman tank, I think. They chalked on max enemy plane altitudes. That's the wingspan for all of the Allied planes. Like they've got Spitfire 11.2 meters, Mustang 11.3 meters, Hurricane 12.2 meters, Thunderbolt 13.4 meters wingspan, Lightning, so P-38 Lightning 14.8 meters wingspan. Russian fighter 10 meters wingspan, Mosquito 16.5 meters wingspan, Beaufighter 17.7 meters wingspan, Halifax 30 meters wingspan, Lancaster 30 meters wingspan, Boeing, they're referring to a B-17 there by the way, 31.6 meters, and Liberator 33.5 meters wingspan. So and then you get your gun sight and you can actually adjust it, like I'll try and do that now. That's basically adjusting the wingspan of the gun sight and also the range of the gun sight. Out the rear view mirrors from, I guess that's an Austin car, right? Yeah, so all sorts of things like that were just basically just pure innovation there and then on the spot. Like someone said, you know what, the canopy is too small, I can't fit into it, we need a bigger canopy, and they somehow got a bubble canopy fitted to the aircraft and it became successful, and then they just made it into mass production and things like that. Let's land this plane. Quite a pronounced torque effect to the engine if I just leave the plane for any length of time. It wants to roll to the left. And this is a very fast aeroplane, I'm moving so fast. Before I land, I'm just going to blow up some trucks. Bear with me. No artillery. truckloads of torque on this engine. Very powerful engine. Let's go in for a landing on one of those airstrips on the north there. I'll go full power, see how quickly I can get to the airstrip. We're at sea level pretty much, and what are we doing? 550 kilometers an hour indicated airspeed. That's pretty damn fast. Hopefully the engine doesn't overheat. Damn, I'm already at the airfield. There. Just by looking at the wings, you can't tell that the flaps are deployed because you've got what's called split flaps. So the aerofoil maintains its upper surface shape, but the flaps extend at the bottom if split flaps. So that's why you've got that indicator there that says it looks to be 60 degrees of flap. There you can see the split flap. looks like the altimeter actually goes up to 900 kilometers an hour. You'd be going pretty fast if you're doing 900. That's basically on the edge of Mach 1. I think landing speed's got to be about 130. Nearly bulls that one up. And we're down. Beautiful, bellissimo. What a plane, huh? What a plane. I think this is my new favourite plane. I'll probably change my mind when the Mustang comes out, but... And there's one over there. Is he coming in for a landing as well? Yeah, when the P-47 came out, that was my new favourite plane, but now that the Dora's out, with the long nose, yeah, what fun. This is definitely my new favourite plane. Look at him go. Look at him go. That is a fast plane. Let's have a look at that big propeller. Nice smoke effect there. And huge armoured glass on the front windscreen. So that's it. That's the Dora. A long awaited plane. It's a Bodenplatte plane. It has the R4M rockets, 26 of them, 12 on each wing. You can fire them in salvos of 6, or you can fire them all at once, and you can select that by pressing the left Windows button and R for rockets, to select whether you want to fire salvos of 6, 4 of them, or whether you want to fire all 26 at once. You've got 13mm, essentially 50 cal machine guns above the engine nacelle. You've got two 20mm cannons in the wing roots. You've got an inline engine rather than a radial engine, and you've got slightly longer wingspan and a much longer fuselage. I think they extended the tail area by about 30 centimetres. You can see one in flight there. It's a long plane. It has a much wider wingspan than the previous FWs. It's just a beast. I'm in love. All right, so let's now switch over to something like a I don't know. I was going to do the Sherman, but you know what? Let's do the Fokker D7 F with the more powerful BMW engine, since I'm in a plane mood. She is gorgeous. Yeah, man, if I ever become a YouTube millionaire, instead of getting a Lamborghini, I'll be getting a Dora. And if I have to build one myself, then that's what I'll do. Wash on the flaps, creating more lift. Yes, it definitely would. And also prop wash over the, particularly over the tail surfaces, gives more controllability to the aircraft at low air speeds. So if you're at the edge of the stall, like you're doing 200 kilometers an hour in it, say in a clean configuration, and normally you'd have pretty sloppy control response at that speed, but if you've got some prop wash running over the rudder and the elevator, then you can have good control even at those low speeds. I'm just gonna pause it briefly, and then I'll be back and we'll be looking at all of the same stuff to do with the D7. Stick around. Alright, I'm back. Now let's have a look at the D7, the Fokker D7. These are all my aircraft, by the way. As you can see, I have an extensive collection. D7, D7, D7. It's got to be this one here. So let's just quickly compare the two aircraft. So you've got the D7 and you've got the D7 F. And the D7 F is just the same as the D7, as far as I'm aware, but it's got a more powerful engine. I don't know if they made any other changes, but I'm flicking between the two. The propeller looks the same. The fuselage and wing dimensions kind of look the same. It's hard to tell with that lozenge camo pattern because it's really disruptive. So you can't it does disrupt the overall shape. I reckon it's the same dimensions, it's just the engine. I was looking at it before, I reckon that the F has a taller engine, and I think because it's got a taller engine they had to remove part of the nacelle. So that's the original, and then that's the F. Original, F, original, F. So if you just focus on the engine, it looks like the newer engine is bigger, and that would make sense to me. You know, more power would tend to be a bigger engine. And I think at some point they fed in the new engine. So exact same conditions as before. But we're just fighting against one SPAD, and I think I've got 4 D7. Let's look at the set. It's an amazing cam. It's got that amazing propeller manufacturer's stamp or sticker or plate. It's a plate, I think, on there. XIAL Berlin. Very uber authentic. Again, if I ever become a YouTube millionaire, also on the shopping list is a D7. And I wouldn't get one of those bloody 3/4 D7s. I'd get a full-size D7 with a full-power engine. It's a bit sad, really. There are so many 3/4 scale D7s floating around at this time. And then when you see them up close, you think, yeah, that's a pretty neat little ultralight you got there. It kind of looks like a D7. But then if you look at the actual footage from modern times of someone like in a flying museum collection operating a D7, man, I got to be honest with you, there's no comparison at all. There's no comparison at all. A full-size D7 is nothing like a 3/4 scale D7 ultralight. Like the ultralights, they have about 30 horsepower in their engine. This D7, it's either 180 or it's 200, and this is the more powerful engine, so I'd say it'd be a 200. So continuous power, 200 horsepower, in the neighbourhood of 200. And this is Ernst Udet's plane. Ernst Udet also met a sticky end, but during World War I he was a fighter ace and an expert stunt pilot. There's footage from the 1920s in Hollywood of Ernst Udet doing stunts. Man, apart from myself, of course, I've never seen anyone do such good stunts as that. Alright, so this is Ernst Udet's plane. Where was I? Oh yeah, so a full-size D7, the guttural snarl of the engine, the sheer size of the plane, because it is quite a big plane. You can see I'm quite passionate about this subject. So, Oberlast Ernst Udet Fokker D7 F, Jaster 4, Esco fought by Bussigny, September 1918. So they were based somewhere in France, of course, because this was World War I. So that's that. Udet. So there's the default scheme, there's Udet's plane. Here's Göring's plane, here's Hermann Göring's plane. Amazing. So Hermann Göring, I think he also managed to get quite a few kills in World War I. I think he might have also become an ace. And he finished World War I as a squadron commander. And if I'm not mistaken, after Richthofen had died, control of Richthofen's flying circus went to Lothar Richthofen, which was Richthofen's younger brother. And then when Lothar Richthofen died, control of the Richthofen flying circus went to Göring, something like that. And then Göring finished out the war as the squadron commander. I ain't no historian, but that's my recollection from all the books that I've read. So this is Göring's plane. Dahlmann, this is a pretty cool plane. Valkyr. That's Valkyr, which is like the famous song, Ride of the Valkyries. That song, I'm sure you recognize it from Apocalypse Now. That's what that is. That's Valkyr, the Valkyrie. So that's that. That's pretty good. Dalman. And then we just got some different default camos. I reckon that style of camo is called lozenge. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I reckon. Let's go with Udet's plane, and let's also let's look at get rid of some fuel. Guns are set to 110. That's fine. I'm trying to figure out which one is the airspeed indicator. I'm assuming it's the anemometer. Gives you an indication if you're between 45 and 250. I don't know. The one mystery of this plane to me is where's the airspeed indicator. So maybe it's that. All right. So those are the options. And check this out. There's a. I really don't like the streamer at all. I'd prefer not to have one at all, but it... Oh yeah, there we go. I think if you're the squadron, like if you're the flight leader, you have to have a streamer. The scarf. It is actually a functional thing. We won't go with the colour of peace. We'll go for green because we're all frogs. This is the good bit here, isn't it? So you can go for a Webley. That's a British. A Mauser C96. That's like the inspiration for the gun in Star Wars, I'm sure. A Luger. A Lebel revolver. Who made that? Looks like a French one. And a Colt. Is that a high power? It was a 1911. Yeah, it's a 1911. Alright, so that's the American gun. That's the French gun. That's a German gun. That's a German gun. And it's a British gun. Let's go with this one, the Mauser C96. And let's... Quick check of the chat. Apocalypse Now is 2 feet to my left as we sit here watching. Ah, well, there you go. Great minds think alike. Use the C96. What is the C96? Is that the one I saw? Apologies if I didn't select the C96. I certainly would have if I'd read it. I should read the chat more often. Alright, here. So all we got is we've got 1,000 rounds of machine gun ammo between 2 machine guns, and you can see the ammo counters there, no surprise there. That's the altimeter, that's the tachometer. Yep. And where's the... I still don't know where the airspeed indicator is at all, so maybe there isn't one. See, I selected no streamer, but I've still got a streamer. Because I'm the flight leader, I have to have a streamer. That's a bit unfortunate. And you can see we've got a spat off in the left-hand corner there at about the 10 o'clock. I'll shoot him down if I can. So this is already a high-performance plane, and because it's the F model, F for Foxtrot, it should be even more high performance. So let's test it out on that SPAD. Where did he go? Where is he? He's dead ahead. The SPAD actually has some good armament, especially if it's armed with balloon guns. I'd better watch out. The balloon guns are basically 50 calibers. Rip this plane to shrink. And look at the gun sight. The gun sight is actually a fairly high-tech looking. Should I do him head-to-head? Probably not. had the sensation one of my guns wasn't working. It's because the cocking lever works on this side, but not on this side. Oh no, this gun's not working. That's better. I was correct, only one of my guns was firing, so I had to press left out and R for Romeo to get the second gun cocked. So I shot down a SPAD using only one machine gun, and it looks like I used about 100 rounds to do it. That sounds better. Very stable aeroplane. It does want to pitch upwards though at all times. It doesn't have any pitch control, like pitch trim or anything. No trim. No problem with the rolling. Rolling is no issue, but it always wants to pitch upwards, which I think that's accurate. I don't know. I've never flown a biplane, but from what I understand, from what people say, and from what I've read and listened to, biplanes can have a tendency to pitch upwards, and the only way to correct that really is to lower the power or to install a trim wheel system so that you can go nose down trim. That would be most useful in a biplane. I think we have 6 cylinders to the engine. Obviously they're in line, and I used to have a BMW, like an old school 1980s BMW 7 Series, and it had a cast iron inline engine with 6 cylinders, which is much the same layout as this engine. I'm inclined to think that BMW just miniaturized their engine that they had in aircraft and then put it into their modern car. There's a town down there. That's what I'm looking for. I'm going to go and... Airfield's not too far away. I'm going to go and explore that town. Russia Bear says, what about the tank crew update? Yes, I'm going to get to that very soon. I'll just buzz this town and then I'll go directly to land, and then we'll get onto the Sherman tank. And then after that, the Panzer VI or whatever. So this is Tank Crew, and this is one of the towns of Focke-Wulf. Fairly detailed looking little town. You can see some kind of hay wagons and stacks of hay and stuff like that. So the point being that this scenery here is all new. This is the new map. This is the clash. This is the Tank Crew Clash at Focke-Wulf map. And so all these buildings are fairly new and fairly interactive, and they're going to get even more interactive as the map updates. So for example, you can shoot those haystacks with a tank's machine gun and it collapses the haystack. you can, not all of the buildings so far, but like some of the lighter structures, you can shoot them with a machine gun and they collapse. I'll see if I can do it with this one, and then I'll go like. Is there an update on the Tiger? Is there an update on the Tiger? I'm not sure about the Tiger. To be honest with you, I haven't looked at it yet, but let's have a look at it. Unfortunately, so the updates that I have seen, the Sherman and the new Panzer, whatever it is, it's a 3, 4, 5 or 6, I'm not sure which, we'll check it out soon. They don't have crew in them yet, so the Tiger and the KV-1S both have crew in them. I don't know if there's any further update to the Tiger, but the new tanks, the Sherman and the Panzer, whatever it is, Panzer V, they don't have crew in them yet, but they are fully modelled in the interior. Alright, I'm going to pause it briefly and I'll be back with the Sherman tank. Or maybe I should do the German tank first. And the wing broke off. Are they adding mud and stuck tigers, tight forest to trap them too? I almost knocked down a tree earlier today. I rammed it with the Panzer and it tilted the tree, but it didn't quite chop it down. I'll be back very soon. Stay tuned. Alright, back again. Let's have a look at some tanks. Do you guys have any preferences for which tank that we look at first? PzKpfw.III. Alright, okay, so here's the two new tanks. We got this one here. It looks like a Panzer III, I think. And that's the Panzer VI, which is the Tiger. And that's the T-34, which is the same as this Panzer III. They're both the default original tanks. No changes there or there. Here's the Sherman. that's pretty exciting. There's no crew in the Sherman. There's no crew in this new M for Mike model Panzer III, and then there's the KV-1S and the Tiger. So do you want to see this one or do you want to see this one? Someone Jay said the Panzer IV-T. Let's have a look at this one. So at the beginning of this stream, I was looking at this tank. Here it is, pretty awesome. I was struck by, you can see the steel tracks, and you can see the steel locomotive and guide wheels front and back. That's got to be the drive wheel there, because the engine's in the back like a Porsche. And then you can see the rubber on these guide and support wheels here, steel wheels with rubber around them. So I don't know, this looks pretty awesome. So this is one of their earlier model tanks, as in this is one of the Wehrmacht's earlier model tanks. This is one of the latest model tanks from Tank Crew. Let's have a look at all the stuff. You don't get too many options in terms of armament. You just get like armor piercing with high explosive, sub-caliber armor piercing shells, high explosive shells, and then additional armor plates, which we'll look at in just a tick. Going to paint scheme, so there's default, then there's white. White is, it looks like it's come straight from the desert and it's been thinly spray painted white, and then most of the white has been abrased off by mud and snow and battle. I particularly like this tank how it has these kind of clamshell exit doors or entry doors there and there. They don't seem to enter through the top of the tank, they enter through the side. Directly below that door there's a seat right there, so the guy that's sitting right there, he's got to sort of clamber out the side there. Alright, so what do we got here? Dunkelgelb. I know Gelb means gold in German. Dunkel, what does that mean? Does that mean desert or something? So that's that. And, no, okay, there's no decals. Here we go, so there's kind of a decal, a decal there. 8 and a trident, and that's Vienna. Panzer Regiment 2, Kursk, salient, July 1943. Geez, so they were operating this thing in 1943. This is a nice tank and all, but in 1943 this thing, I don't know, it wasn't really that fantastic. Alright, now let's chuck on the armour plate. Then you got this thing here. I reckon that's an Austrian coat of arms. Could be wrong. The side armour seems to be around 1 centimetre thick, so it'd stop a small arms, but not very much. It'd just really break down the kinetic energy of a tank shell. So that's it there. You can see they've got the side armour on the turret as well as on the chassis. Snooky says, can you use extra armour? You betcha. So there we go, there's our extra armour. Russia Bear says, where is the Scherzen? That is a good question. I'll have to figure out where the Scherzen is. What is a Scherzen, by the way? Jay says light plus medium. I guess it depends on what stage of the war you're at. I'd call it a medium tank, but yeah, compared to like a KV-1S, this thing's like just a insignificant insect. Still. Alright, let's go for a drive. Start here. I'm going to open all the hatches. Change crew position. Open some hatches. Out the clamshell door. Change position now. I'm in the commander's place right here, I think. Alright, so he can go vertically out the turret like. Alright, everything is open. Or shut. Is that open or? I don't know. Anyways, that is that. Here's the radio operator. The poor bastard doesn't really have any door or exit turret that he can get out. If shit goes down, he's basically got to clamber out the back there somehow. He's got to get out there and then like get up. Is the tracker R at work? He's got to get up there somewhere where there's blue sky. But he does have a window here. Check this out. And he can't even see anything because that thin armour plate's obscuring his vision. But basically this guy, he's got a window that can show him freedom, but he can't actually climb out of it because it's too small. Although you could argue that being in the tank is freedom, but if the tank's on fire, being in the tank is definitely not freedom, and in that case you want an exit pronto. Alright, so you've got, looks like you've got a 5cm cannon with armour piercing high explosive, 41 rounds, 42 rounds of high explosive. You can only reload, you can only change the load when you're in the gunner's position. If you're in the driver's position and you press Alt G, which I just did then, nothing happened. I think this is the gunner's position. I'll press Alt G. No, this is the radio operator. Alright, let's try it now. Alright, so this is the gunner, believe it or not. It's just that he's outside. It looks like he's the commander or something, but the commander's up there. I can't wait until they get crew into these damn tanks. So I've changed the gun to the high explosive. Pretty sick tank. And this is the clash at Focke-Wulf map. And there's a town directly ahead. Before I started the live stream, I was actually in that town and I was trying to knock everything down, and I was having quite limited success. I was just reading the comments. You guys were saying that the nose used to be longer, but they shortened it, and you guys were saying that there's 2 access hatches above the transmission, and I'm looking at them now, and I wonder if they're for the transmission or if they're escape hatches for the crew, like entry exit. I think they're probably for the transmission on this one. Maybe if the nose was longer, they would have been ideal or close to ideal for the driver and the radio operator. Someone said they're going to jump in bed soon and download IL-2. No worries at all. Thanks very much for tuning in. I appreciate it. And catch you next time. So I'm just going to mosey on over to the town and shoot up a few things, and we'll see how the town interacts with the weaponry. The engine, I like the engine. I like all the engines in IL-2 actually. Every single one of them, tank or aeroplane. It's different. It's different to the Tiger, for example, and it's different to the earlier model that was similar to this one. I'm gonna speed it up a bit. So now we're compressing time, speeding along. So like you see that there target. I mean, no one has cars in this village, but that thing that looks like a carport, let's destroy it with some machine gun. So there we go, the machine gun can destroy those kind of carport looking things. And these stacks of hay can also be destroyed. What about, and that's it really. Like this building is impervious. And so is this. Shooting the weakest point, the thatched roof, or even just the wooden or the mortar structure. You can hit it, but nothing. Whereas if you hit the straw, if anyone was hiding in that straw, they're not going to be happy. Alright, so that's that pretty much. And the village itself don't look too bad. So I was thinking you could knock down houses like these ones, but you can't. If I get a run up that fence, I can knock it down. If I get a run up. Nope, didn't want to do it. See what I mean? Like, yeah, like... that fence must be made of stalinium. Oh yeah, the high explosive round. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. Let's try out the HE on the building. Nah. What about this one? It does reload nice and quick. It does reload very quick. So on the straw. Yep, no worries. I think every one of us is in a different time zone right now. Strictly speaking, we're all in 1942. Those stalinium fences, you can shoot them and you can blow them up. Although that didn't blow up that time. And there's that. You can blow up those hay bales, but the buildings so far, you you can't do nothing with them. Although I've seen footage on 1C's YouTube channel of them knocking down buildings with tanks, but they were driving the Tiger and the KV-1S, so maybe I'll try those. Oh, and the trees, yeah. That tree is going to get... Victory! I have defeated the tree. Alright, so that's pretty much a look at that one. Let's have a quick look at the Sherman, and then that probably concludes it. But I'm also going to look at what effect the Tiger, if there's been any updates to the Tiger, and what effect the Tiger has on the villages in this tank clash at Focke-Wulf map. I'm just gonna pause there now, and I'll be back soon with the Sherman. Alright, I'm back. So this is the whole tank clash at Focke-Wulf map. I haven't had a good look at it yet. There's Belgorod. I assume Stalingrad is about 100 or 200 kilometers to the southeast of this location, something like that. The distances are huge, really. And but this square here is much smaller. If you're in a plane, you can easily fly outside of it. Like when I was in the D7, I was at this airfield here when I was on the D7, I believe. So, alright, there's the village. Where do I want to go? Maybe I'll just like go here. And so that was that. And that, what do we call that? Is it the how the freak do you pronounce that? PzKpfw.III Ausf.M. Geez, just give us a... I'm just going to call it the Panzer IIIM. Now here's the M4A2 Sherman. It's obviously an abbreviation for something that's probably really easy to pronounce. I just don't know how to pronounce it. Here's the setup. Here's the Sherman. I'm impressed by the front armour on the Sherman. Looks mighty thick. What is that, like 3 inches worth of armour there? So, and you got a fairly hefty transmission there as well to protect you that you're sitting behind. Sherman, you know, it's not like a Rolls Royce of tanks or anything, but it's got a nice MG. It's got a nice gun, a couple of guns. So it's 1, 2, 3, 3 machine guns. 2, 1 in the turret, 1 on the turret, 1 in the radio operator's position. I mean, they mass produced this thing. Interestingly, it's got a double $ stamped, like in the cast steel turret. It's got a double $. I don't know why it's got that. I'd be interested to know the origin of it. And it's got some more cast writing there as well, which probably says what batch number the turret is or something. Same really. Armor piercing, HE and HE. Let's have a look at these. So you got the default paint scheme. That's it there. I don't think the Sherman's any worse than the tank we were just driving. It's interesting, I've never ever looked inside a Sherman, so it'll be interesting to see what it looks like inside. So that's the winter scheme, pretty muddy look. That's the guard. 5th Guards Tank Brigade, USSR, Taman, September 1943. It's got a lion painted, stamped on the side of it. It's got some headlights. And what is that? It's like a giant monkey wrench. Lend-Lease. That's pretty cool, eh? Yeah, that's awesome. Let's drive the Lend-Lease. PZ will suffice. Just imagine the M26 Pershing being added. Yeah, that'd be good. Alright, so we're in a damn Sherman tank. Wow. Very circular. There's some 50 cal ammo boxes. Controls, instrument panel, canteen, and it's all in English. Periscope, 3 spare heads, fire extinguisher. Got a box there. No doubt that's where you keep the beer or your lunch. That's where I'd keep the beer. Got something there. Pioneer, registered US Patent Office. North, south, east, west. That must be a... yeah, obviously it's a compass. Must be a special kind of compass, maybe, being encapsulated in all this ferrous material. There's the transmission. Fairly nice tank, really, I reckon. Lubrication chart. Caliber 30 barrels. Oh yeah, you got spare barrels in there for the defensive guns. And so there's the guy that sits there. What does he do? I assume he's the radio operator, but he's got a 30 cal. And 30 cal looks the same as a 50 cal, but it's quite a bit smaller. It'd be easy enough for any one of us, for example, to physically hold a 30 cal, but to hold a 50, 50s are so big and so heavy. It's not really feasible. They're more vehicle-mounted weapons. Having said that, this is a vehicle and it seems to have 30s. There's some ammo. I think the ammo is quite strong, like you can drop it and stuff and it doesn't explode, allegedly. Alright. Russian crew, they keep the vodka. Of course, yeah, not beer, it's vodka, because it's too damn cold. Beer is really for hot weather. Alright. Quick look at the info. We've got 75mm, so I think that's a much bigger gun. What did the previous one had? A 50mm gun. Armor piercing, high explosive, 47 rounds. High explosive, 48 rounds. And some fuel and some stuff. Alright, let's open everything. Nice. Alright, there's the gun. Lots of stuff sort of stamped into the metal. It's really good. Have you ever seen a tank that looks as good as this? I think Battlefield 5 has some awesome tanks, but you know, this is pretty good. Next position. Where are we here? This looks like, is this the gunner? What's that? That's a radio. Is this the commander or the gunner? Danger! Do not traverse turret until driver's hatches are closed and all crew members are clear and turret travelling lock has been released. That's an interesting binoculars. That's an interesting thing. I was wondering that before about tanks in general. Wireless control, periscope. There's a hatch there. Alright. Windows button B. Didn't seem to do anything. And right out. Oh, hang on. Windows button C. No. Right out C. Didn't seem to do anything. This guy, he doesn't get anything. No windows, nothing. Right, we'll change. This has got to be the gunner here. It's got a periscope. You can have a look at the periscope. Periscopes are pretty nifty things for tanks, I got to say. Yeah, that's cool. Alright, Windows buttons. Don't think that did anything. Right out. And we're moving. We are moving. Oh, wow, this is a commanding position right here. Wow. Man, this is seriously virtual reality. This is crazy. I just want to shoot this gun. Holy shit. Whoa. Wow, this is all. Damn. See the belt feed and everything. Is it a 30 or a 50? It sounds beat. Reload. Left out and up. Then we're good to go. Quick, start the engine. Beefy, that's a 75mm. Hey, I got. Was that the MG or the? Good times, good times. Let's see what it looks like out. It's a very high standing tank, isn't it? Must be about, what, 2.5 meters tall? 11 feet tall or something. Check out the tracks when I get moved. Did you see that? It looked like there was some pre-tensioning, and now it is tense. The tracks look awesome. Have to be careful as well that I'm the hunter, but I have to be careful I don't become the hunted. Tanks go best, even though they're so beefy, they go best when they're able to hide. When they're able to hide and slink around and sneak around behind forests and buildings and stuff. If you can hide behind a flimsy barn in a tank, it might mean the difference between a perfect ambush and being spotted at 1500 meters. War Thunder tanks are better. You're probably right, like at least at this stage. Although I don't think War Thunder does the interior of tanks, if I'm not mistaken. She moves pretty fast. We're going across country at a pretty good speed here. Hopefully I'm not driving into an amp. high center of gravity, prone to tipping over. Yeah, I would agree with that, actually. I would agree with that. Yeah, definitely. One thing about tanks in general, but particularly a tank like this, is they're easy to tip over. They are easy to tip over, especially because they're all-terrain vehicles. They can drive on some crazy hill. You can drive a tank on a 45-degree hill laterally or whatever, not up and down, but from left to right, and it'll tip over. Pretty good slope to that armour. That would be quite good for deflecting shots. Right, so the radio operator has his own hatch as well, which is not a... How many guys in this tank? I'm assuming it's 4, but maybe it's 3. I don't think there's any range adjustment in the scope. That's definitely a village. I want to check out what the Sherman does in a village. That's definitely a... There's a village over... Is that a village? Because that's where the tanks, that's where the trucks went as well. I might just have to accelerate time here. Early Sherman called matchboxes. Yeah, I've heard the same kind of thing. Someone said they call them like fire, like a kind of a firework called a Roman candle. Yeah, I think they were easy prey for the German tanks until they started getting the Sherman Firefly, which had a really powerful gun on it. Oh, look at that! We got some 109s. Assuming I can actually destroy them. I think that knocked it. Remember, this is a bigger round than the previous gun. The previous gun was 50mm, this one's 75. Oh shit, look at that. What a say, what a surprise, it worked. and the previous guns were probably 7.92mm MG34s. This is probably a, I don't know what this is. Is it a 30 cal or a 50? Seems like a 50. I don't want to be too close to the building when I explode it, or else it might explode me. Boom shakalaka. That definitely works, doesn't it? I'm glad I tested out the Sherman, because it's a completely different response to the buildings than that Panzer IIIM. Same result with the gun, with the MG, that is. But yeah, so it's the wooden buildings that are getting destroyed. What if this is a theory, what if the Sherman's got 30 cals in the chassis, but on top it's got a 50? I might have to jump on the roof in a tick. Approach them, approach the 109s. I might do that. It sounds like a 50 cal on the roof and 30s underneath, but maybe that's because the guns, the MGs inside, are sounding different. Just speed up time a little bit here, so you can definitely destroy the wooden buildings. Oh shit. I think my gun's down. Where did that pesky staff car go to? That's him there, isn't it? Should probably polish him off and then go check out the 109. Hang on, we got 109s taking FW. He's leaking something. I swear he's leaking. Okay, that was 2. Still too high. Still too high. It was awfully kind of him not to take off while I zeroed my gun. I think that was a direct hit. Oh shit, I got him! Oh, lucky shot. Take that. How was that, eh? Alright, man, that was unexpected. Oh, look at all them. Lots of HE-111s. Where was those 109s? Where are the tanks? Where's that staff car? Carnage. Alright, so there's the 109s. I was in the middle of getting that staff car, wasn't I? Frankly, I'm lucky that there wasn't an armoured. This turret's a bit difficult to. Oh, I think the staff car's completely gone. Alright, we'll chalk that up as a loss. Got to say, I'm quite enjoying this Sherman. Yeah, the SS car escaped. Right, let's check out those 109s and we'll see what we can do to them. Yeah, I was lucky there were no tanks. If there were tanks, I probably would have been dead by now. Or even if there was those, you know, those anti-aircraft guns. If I got hit by one of those, I'd probably be a goner. I don't think it'd penetrate, but I think I'd catch fire or something. Damn, bruh. Mad air on that one. I just jumped to 109. Who would have thunk? I don't know what my turret's doing. Whoa, 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 whoa. What is this turret? Alright, I think I got the hang of it. I think. Well, seems to have a very twitchy null zone. Take that! Yeah. kind of a simplistic graphic. These are like stationary objects. They're not like the planes. They're not AI planes. They're just stationary objects. There's a difference. The benefit to them is they don't use up so much processing power, so they're less likely to slow down your frame rate. But the downside is that they're fairly simplistic graphically. Alright, that is my carnage with the Sherman, and I think we've just about field tested the Sherman, so let's now... Yeah, mad air. That was unexpected, but what's left? I did the German one already, so it's all done, isn't it? Now I'm just going to try the Tiger and see if anything's changed with the Tiger, and then I'm going to go and paint one of the walls of my house. One of the exterior walls of my house needs its second coat of paint, and I'm going to go and do that with my spray gun right after this stream. I'm going to put it on pause just briefly, and I'm going to switch over to the Tiger, and then I'll be back. And we're back. Let's go over to the Tiger and let's see if the benefit to the Tiger as well as the Tiger's got crew, and it's probably going to be able to destroy a lot of stuff. Right. Hopefully there's a village in this area here. Looks like that might be a village. We'll give it a shot. If there's not, then I'll relocate over here. Tiger. Marked on the cap on the rounds for denoting the ammo type. Of course, yeah, exactly. It's going to say what type it is. Good point, good point. That's how we can tell. Alright, fairly standard there. And default, white, and D.VIIF Imp. I'm going to go D.VIIF Imp because I quite like this tank. Alright, I mean, this is a huge, powerful tank. Alright, so we've got an 88mm gun with APHE-45 and HE-46 rounds. Pretty standard. Oh, hello. As you can see, this tank has crew, and what a difference it makes. There's a village down there. Here's the radio operator's position. In German, radio operator is the Funker. The Funkmeister, the Funker. Funk means radio. So that there is the radio. It's like a stack of radios. He's got a hatch there. I don't know if he can open it though. What's he doing in the corner? Nigel, no friends. He's not even... I can't see things from his perspective for some reason. If I could, then I'd open that hatch that's to his left there. He's looking at something important on the floor. I think it's a map or something. Alright, let's do some stuff here. So far, for the most part, in fact completely, the Tiger seems to be exactly the same. But remember, we're in the Tank Crew Clash at Focke-Wulf map. Completely new map technology. The map's interactive like never before. So let's go and see what we can do in this heavy tank. Bet you I can knock a building over. This should be... this had better be good. Yes! Yes, yes, yes. I am not disappointed. Beautiful. Did you see that? Totally flattened. So that was a wooden building. How realistic it looks too. They need to, one thing is, and I'm sure they will, they need to get some different crew members in, because right now it looks like they're twins or triplets. Let's try and use the gun on some of the buildings. I'm going to be interested, that was at full tilt as well, I'm going to be interested to see if I can knock down a more substantial building. So that was a wooden building. What about one of those non-wooden buildings, like the one in front of us there? Maybe I should just ram it, we'll see. Holy smokes, did you see that? Nothing is standing except the chimney. That's actually very realistic. If you drive through the countryside, the only thing you'll see of old houses is the chimney. Everything else is faded away into obscurity. Pretty good, huh? What now? I guess the gun. I want to run over more stuff though. So I wonder how slow you can be going and still be able to knock over a building. Amazing, you can see the cooking hot plate and everything. Looks like a semi-cozy kind of a house, or it was until I knocked down half of it. Looks like I'm stuck. I'm free. Yeah. So the only thing that you can't knock down is the chimney stack. Shorten the transmission life up. Yeah. I don't know. Nah. So far the Tiger, yeah, it's got a bit of superficial damage on it there. I mean, in real life, if they were going to purposely run into a building and it wasn't an emergency situation, they would all shut the hatches and they would turn the turret backwards so that they didn't damage the turret and so that they didn't damage the gun. I could be wrong, but I think these turrets aren't secured. I think they just lower the turret on with the crane and then it just sits on there with gravity. There must be some kind of securing mechanism, but I don't know. Alright, let's try out the gun. Bit of an anticlimax, didn't do nothing. And of course I could run that building over, but I can't do anything to it by shooting. Nothing. What about a tree? What if I shoot a tree? Certainly reverberated, but it didn't do nothing. Try out an easy tree, then we'll try out a hard tree. Right, so the tree has some resistance and then it cracks. Say this tree is just too big. I'm having an effect on it though, geez. No, it's just too big. engine off. Alright, well there we have it. After single-handedly, you can't fire the guns when you're in the external view side. I was limited to using other methods to deconstruct the village. That's going to do it for this epic live stream, I think, guys. I think that proves it. There's some superficial damage on the Tiger, but it didn't, you know, catch fire and explode or anything. Beast, huh? And the KV-1S has the same capability as this tank. They're both heavy tanks. So we've proven that the amount of damage you can do to a village and to objects is directly related to the size of the tank. Those light tanks, they don't do much, but these heavy tanks, there's nothing really that stops them, except for those chimney stacks. That's about it. Flying the D9 was super fun. That's by far my new favourite plane. I'll be flying that a lot. I'll probably do a video on it later on tonight. Flying the new D7 was also pretty bloody good. I just had to remember to cock the second gun, otherwise I'd be using just one machine gun. The Sherman's pretty bloody awesome as well, as is the new German tank, the Panzer IIIM. The Panzer IIIM and the Sherman, they just need some crew. It makes all the difference. And the crew needs to obviously not be triplets. These guys are all the same character. Need four or five different characters. I think there's 5 crew members to a Tiger, and probably 4 crew members to the rest of the tanks. Maybe a KV-1S has 5. Alright, that's going to do it, guys. I'm going to go and paint my house. Smash the like button if you haven't already, and if you're not a subscriber, make sure you subscribe. Those who have joined me on this live stream adventure, JG, Russia Bear, who else we got? I'm sure there was another person in there somewhere. BF110's there. Hello BF110. I'm scrolling back through the chat. Yeah, you guys, thanks for joining me on this live stream. There's Snooky. Thanks, Snooky. JG and Russia Bear, thanks heaps for all of your commentary and for participating. There's SSG. Says, look mum, we have a Dora. I'm going way back in the chat here. Dora's a beauty. Yeah, sure is. Yeah, I really want to get a full-size D7 one day. I mean, full-size D7, I think the maximum takeoff weight's got to be about 990 kilograms. 200 horsepower BMW inline 6-cylinder engine. It's a biplane. Steel tube covered in fabric fuselage, very strong, and wooden wings, also covered in canvas. Definitely on the to-do list. You guys can you can join this channel. It basically means that you get like an extra, like a special emoji next to your name whenever you comment on the channel or in the chat. Click the join button if you're interested. You can also support the channel on Patreon. Supporting me on Patreon means that it's more likely that I'll be able to continue to do this kind of work and to improve the quality of the work as time goes on. That's Patreon. And I've been FroggyFrog9000. Thanks heaps you guys in the chat, and thanks if you're watching this afterwards as well. I'm going to go paint my house now, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye for now.